Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Tuesday, the 26th of Zulhijjah, 1443, corresponding with the English date, 26th of July, 2022. Hazrat Wala is saying, and starts off, وَلَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ ila akhir al-ayah. Thereafter, Hazrat Wala goes on to say that yesterday I spoke about Ali radiyallahu ta'ala an. Today I wish to speak about Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an, and whichever chapters we are presently going through, I want to finish up with that. So Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an lived a very, very simple life. On his dastarkhan, different categories of people would come and eat. So much so, even the likes of nobilities and kings would come and they would eat. Ibn Sa'id relates from Abdullah Rumi that Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an, at the time of tahajjud, when he used to get up, he would not wake up any khadim or any person regarding his needs for tahajjud, meaning the water for wudu, etc. Somebody asked him about this here. So then he said, night is the time of rest and I do not wish to inconvenience any person. Abdul Malik ibn Shaddad, he says that on the day of Jum'ah, Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an was on the mimbar. And at that time when I seen him, he had a very coarse, thick chadar and shawl on, which was maybe approximately 4 or 5 dirhams. Hassan al-Basri speaks about Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an during the time of his khilafat. One day he noticed, he relates this at least, that Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an was lying down in the masjid. But when he stood up, the signs of the pebbles had imprinted upon his skin. People said that this is Amirul Mu'mineen. This is Amirul Mu'mineen. He would find out about the concerns and the needs of people, so much so that he would even find out that how is the prices of things in the markets. Musa ibn Talha says that it was the day of Jum'ah. Okay, let's carry on to the next one there. Okay, that's done. So Hazrat Wala is saying, thereafter quoting the riwayat in which Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha spreads out for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam his shawl, but she makes it into two. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is very famous riwayat. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says to her that open it up and make it one, because there would be difficulty for me then in getting up. So nevertheless, i'tidal. In all of this here, we need to understand moderation and i'tidal. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Allah Ta'ala give me, my children as well. Maulana Rum has written, and in fact this also I need to take it out somewhere and rewrite this here, that it was the time of the Khilafat of Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Rather, he was just chosen as the Khalifa at that time. People gathered around him, but for hours at end, there was absolute silence and he did not speak. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to remark on this occasion about this incident, and he used to say that what was it that the people were there and he did not speak? So what was it? It was, did the people want the Imam Qawwal, or did the people want the Imam Fa'al? He was silent at that time, not speaking. But what is the Khalifa and what is his duty? More than speaking or saying this or that or the other is what he does. I mean, this was the andaz of Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. On one occasion, he himself went to Aligarh, and people had gathered. It is people go there to learn, university, institutions, this, that, and the other. But he himself sat there quiet. He did not speak at all. And he said to the people, you people all know and have learned how to speak. Now I am sitting here for such a long period of time. I want you to learn the excellence of silence, and then speaking about all the subtle golden points of the excellence of remaining silent. The most amount of futuhat took place during the time of Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Now, Maulana Taqiyuddin then quotes regarding the karamat and the miracles of Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. And then he goes on to quote, Hazrat Shah Waliullah has written in his kitab Izalatul Khifa and Khilafatul Khulafa. From there, he mentions some incidents regarding the karamat and the miracles of Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Zayd bin Habib says that it came to my notice regarding those people who came to murder or Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an, about them. And then he quotes the incident. So these people who came and entered and they wanted to attack Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an, rather they had assassinated him, made him shaheed. All of them, that whole group of people, all of them became utterly mad and insane. Abu Qilaba, the Tabi'i, goes on to say that we were amongst a group of people and we were on a journey going to Sham, that suddenly we heard someone screaming and he's saying, fire, destruction. I looked at that person and went in that direction, and both his hands were chopped off, amputated. Both his feet were amputated. He was blind in both of his eyes, and he was lying face down. When I seen him in that condition, I asked the people there that what is happening here? And who's this person, etc. And then people said that these were the people that came to attack, rather this person came to attack Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. And he says himself, and then he starts narrating himself, when I went closer, so meaning to attack Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an, his wife scram, and at that time I slapped her. Na'udhu billah min dhalik. So Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an at that time said, what will your condition be when your hands would be chopped, your feet would be chopped, you would become blind in both your eyes, and you would be taken and thrown into the fire of hell. At that time, he says, such a type of fear overwhelmed me that my body started vibrating and trembling. I started shivering. I ran from there, and today whatever you see, this is the bad dua and the curse of Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Whatever he has said has come to pass. Now I am just waiting for the last part to be entered into the fire of hell. Thereafter, Hazrat Wala goes on to speak about Umar radiallahu ta'ala an as well. And he quotes from even Western writers that had been impressed by the life of these khulafa, which is mentioned in this particular kitab. So he says that Umar radiallahu ta'ala an would work and earn his living, but when the load and burden of Khilafat came upon his shoulders, he was stopped by the Sahaba, and an amount was dedicated for him so that it could fulfill his needs. Umar radiallahu ta'ala an was a person of absolute justice, equality, and together with that, he was someone who possessed tremendous amount of humility. His condition was that he had many patches on his clothes as well. When people would call out to him with different titles, then he said, leave all that aside. Just say Amirul Mu'mineen. That's enough. So Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, like just how we discussed, so much had happened to him. People then came and then asked, what about the salat? Now look at this. This is what we're talking about, the akhlaq of our great heroes. He did not say that I'm the Imam of Masjidun Nabawi, don't perform salat behind them. He said, salat is something wonderful and very great. Perform your salat. This was his akhlaq. And he could have handed over the Khilafat to them. But what was it? He was commanded by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam not to hand over the Khilafat to them. And when it came right to the end, Hassan radiallahu ta'ala, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala were also present at his side. When these people came into the house, they stood up. But he prevented them, meaning saying to them that I do not want bloodshed amongst the Muslimin. At that time, he was reciting Al-Quran. He was reciting Al-Quran. Now this was Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. So much so, he was prevented from that very same masjid, which he renovated and he improved. And it was even said by people after him that Uthman radiallahu ta'ala renovated this masjid and done this to the masjid and improved this and that and the other. If he did not do that, there would have even been a great fear of people leaving the fold of Islam. He improved everything to a great extent. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala was buried between Maghrib and Isha. And because of all that and the rebels and at that time, the difficulties, at one corner of Jannatul Baqi, Uthman radiallahu ta'ala was buried. So this is the baddua of the Ahlullah, of these saintly people, Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Now when I'm listening to the original, I don't see that Hazrat Wala is making the dua as per normal. I don't know if there was something in the taping, but it then just comes to an end there. So we say now, رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ بِحُرْمَةِ سَيِّدِ النَّبِيِّ الْكَرِيمِ صلى الله عليه وسلم.